Hey guys, welcome back. We have a weekend energy update to get into, and this weekend we have a Venus-Saturn opposition taking place exactly on Saturday that will also be squared by the moon in Gemini. This may not be the most soft and fuzzy, social, affectionate energy, okay? But I want you to be aware this is a passing energy. This is not going to be a lingering vibe. This energy actually breaks on Sunday, and by the time we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week, things could seem as though they are suddenly taking a dramatic twist or turn. The issues that we may be struggling with Friday and Saturday of this week are likely to be very different as we get the energy of next week started. So this is not a lingering vibe. This is a passing energy. Do not overly attach to any of the more negative sentiments that could come with it. But that being said, it could just be a bit of a more low vibe, challenging weekend. The Venus-Saturn opposition is not one of the most favorable Venus energies, and you could just feel isolated, cast out, rejected, abandoned. There could be financial pressure or burdens and stuff that are interfering with our ability to enjoy ourselves for some reason on some level this weekend, you guys, and we've got some things to talk about. So let's get into the report. Let's take a closer look at how energy is coming together for us this weekend, what it might mean as we move through the weekend, and how things are setting up as we prepare to enter the energy of next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, October 10th, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we're just going to take a good look at our energy forecast, what's going on out there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this weekend. So that's what we're doing. That's the game plan. I'm going to kind of summarize the weekend's energy, and then we will go day by day and take a closer look at the energy blueprints for each one of our days this weekend. And as I have been referencing all week, you guys, we have had this Venus-Saturn opposition, Venus transiting through the sign of Virgo right now, Saturn retrograding through the sign of Pisces. They have been building into closer and closer opposition with each other throughout the course of the week. So this is an energy that we've sort of been wading into all week, and it does peak on Saturday. But as I mentioned in my intro, following the peak on Saturday, it kind of immediately starts to break and then shifts completely as we hit Monday and Tuesday of next week. So do not get overly attached to this energy, but it could be just a strange kind of aloof, disconnected, disengaged, antisocial energy. You could feel a sense of separateness regarding yourself and other people, an inability to connect, feeling you just can't get on the same page, can't get an idea or an understanding across, something like that as well. And the weekend, it could just feel honestly some type of emotional or personal low point. And if that's the case, okay, use the weekend, the events of the weekend, the scenarios that play out for educational purposes only, with the understanding that this too shall pass. And actually, as I've already stated, these very things are likely to shift in unexpected and potentially even kind of extreme ways come the energy of next week. There is valuable and beneficial insight that can be gained through the lessons, for better or worse, that this energy presents this weekend. So it's a good energy to decompartmentalize, to take pieces apart, to discover the source of some type of core blockage that may be manifesting in terms of whatever the situations or scenarios are that are arising throughout the course of the weekend. This could have a lot to do with our ability to give and receive love, or to experience a feeling of value or worthiness somehow as well. We're talking about Venus, the feminine energy, also ruling relationships and other people, and also finances and material possessions and stuff like that. There could be a financial pressure, or even a sense of overwhelm, or again, general disconnection from maybe those that we love, or just an inability to relate with ourselves or the world around us or the people in our lives. Those would all be indications suggested through this type of energy, especially, in Virgo and Pisces as well. Venus in Virgo is already not the most retroverted energy, it can have a very high bar, we'll put it that way, in terms of what is satisfactory. This can tend towards perfectionism. Opposite Saturn, that makes it even more extreme. And, in the sign of Pisces, it can be a little bit delusional, we could put it that way. Kind of just like unrealistic expectations that people are falling short of, maybe disappointment, lack of satisfaction, doubts, questions. All that type of stuff could come about throughout the course of the weekend with this type of energy at play. But we shouldn't forget, Jupiter is also aspecting both Saturn and Venus in their opposition this weekend. We are going to talk about this more as we move through the report. But, and Saturn is retrograde also. Ultimately, although this could be, again, bringing things and people and situations down, making things feel less possible or less satisfying or less appealing for one reason or another this weekend, this is ultimately, I do think, about actually removing blockages to the heart space energy, the ability to specifically maybe give or receive love or abundance, or the energy that's associated with some type of financial flow. Jupiter brings wisdom. Jupiter brings truth. Jupiter brings growth. Jupiter brings expansion. Jupiter brings like gifts and blessings and good luck and optimism and faith and hope and positivity. Jupiter is in a quote unquote positive aspect with both Saturn and Venus in their opposition. This is letting us know that our ability to learn something from the experiences presented this weekend is somehow directly related to some type of growth or expansion happening on a deep internal level. Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, that is part of some greater process of growth that is underway right now. So there is valuable insight to be gained throughout the course of the weekend, despite how things may look or feel while we move through Friday and Saturday. Now let's talk specifically about Friday. This may be a different or unusual type of morning. Things may not go exactly according to plan. Slow down, try not to rush. It is a bit of a more absent-minded and therefore potentially accident-prone energy. Something out of the ordinary may just occur, or someone may surprise you with what's coming out of their mouth or with some type of news or information, what they've got to say. This could also be waking up with some type of random impulse, spontaneous urge to do something, to say something, to get something done. This could also be bringing strange dreams or kind of a restless sleep Thursday night into Friday night. This is because the moon is going to leave Taurus, enter Gemini, therefore make a conjunction to Uranus very early hours of the morning, and trine Pluto also on Friday morning. So we're waking up in some kind of strong Uranian energy on Friday, or again, it could be happening overnight. So that may contribute to just kind of a sense of restlessness or an inability to sleep, or some just very, very, very strange dreams. But you could find in the earlier part of the day, specifically on Friday, that things just aren't going according to schedule and you need to redirect somehow. You might also just feel like you need to do something a little bit differently, staying in alignment with the routine is just not cutting it for you somehow. You gotta break free and, I don't know, do something different on Friday. Generally though, this could be kind of just a weird day interpersonally. We also of course have the Venus Saturn, which is doing that too, and with the Gemini moon. Gemini is also other people and what we're talking about and what we're thinking about, and Venus is in Mercury's other sign. We've got both of Mercury's signs highlighted this weekend, one with the moon in Gemini, one with Venus in Virgo. So what we're thinking about, what we're talking about, where our mind is focused, the nature and topic of conversation is likely to be very much feeding into or comprised of the Saturn-Venus opposition. So, that would be people perhaps sharing their inability to relate with others, their feelings of maybe isolation or loneliness or rejection, how unsatisfied they are or how unappreciated they feel or how undervalued they are like being treated, while also maybe bringing up being weighed down or overburdened by duty or responsibility or obligation or commitment. This could also, of course, relate to money, finances, assets, resources, possessions, contracts, deals, negotiations, partnerships, even like choices or decisions, commitments, investments, habits, routines. There could be just like a general irritation, lack of satisfaction, and complaints. I would wager that this is a very complaint-oriented weekend. So if you find a lot of people complaining about out there, or nothing is seemingly good enough for anyone, again, do not get overly attached to this type of stuff, because it's just really not going to be the lasting reality. Things being lost, things being let go and surrendered also. And with the moon in Gemini on Friday, people may be talking about it, or they could also be talking about their inability or their resistance to like communicate their feelings properly or to communicate their thoughts effectively. There is this kind of like block that is being represented in terms of the adequate expression and reception, like the give and the take of the mental energy pertaining to like matters of the heart, worthiness, appreciation, love, affection, desire. So I wouldn't really expect even the commonly or traditionally like most loving and open-hearted and affectionate people may just be a little bit more closed off and resistant or limited in that expression for one reason or another. Friday into Saturday. There may also be things on Friday blocking our ability to get the deal signed, to make the sale, to get the signature. You may find yourself waiting on someone for something, or there could be delays, cancellations, messages, or communications that aren't able to be delivered or that don't go through. You may also just find you are having frustration or difficulty like accomplishing tasks, crossing things off the list. Other people or situations could be interfering with your ability to like make progress on something or with your plans generally. This could also be a day where it seems like nothing is working, including your ability to love and appreciate or connect with others. And as I'm saying this like massive train is blowing its whistle and like interfering with my ability to communicate the message properly. So there could also be like noise and distractions and just things that are like seemingly like out of your control that are really like impinging upon or limiting your ability to get the message across, to express the feeling, to like share the moment or the vibe. And it could be leading to frustration and blocked connections. Okay, so if that is the case, this again is not something that is like going to be around or determine the rest of your life. Things are definitely going to be changing. I would not set the expectation bar very high this weekend. You know, keeping that bar low is probably better for your mental health. And again, using these experiences to gain self-awareness. We're talking about Venus here. Embracing the lessons that present themselves despite maybe the prickly nature of this transit is what is indicated to be like essentially the value that is gained through this experience. Jupiter in Cancer, as I mentioned, and I will continue to mention, is trine Saturn, also sextile Venus. Truth, expansion, blessings, faith, growth, that is what we gain through whatever the Saturn Venus opposition represents for you in your life. So do not despair. This is all purposeful on some level, somehow. Instead, you know, seek answers, seek truth, surrender also the burden to a higher power. This is also a very, very faithful, spiritually oriented energy coming through, specifically on Sunday. I said the energy breaks on Sunday. We're going up, okay? We're going in a more spiritually oriented direction. Spirits are going to begin most likely to elevate come Sunday. So this is just a low point, but we're not getting stuck there, okay? Now let's talk about Saturday. Saturday, as I've mentioned, is the energetic peak of this Venus-Saturn opposition. That is when we have the exact opposition, and it wouldn't be astrology if we didn't also have the moon at that point in time transiting the exact degree ranges of Gemini, where the moon will form a square to Saturn and Venus in their opposition. These are all mutable signs. Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius, those are the mutable signs. We've got a mutable T-square going on with Saturn and Venus, and the moon in a sign of Gemini on Saturday. So not only is that the day where we have this energy peaking because of the exact oppositional lineup between Saturn and Venus, but also because the moon is like a trigger and an amplifier for energy. And when we've got the moon also forming that harsh 90-degree aspect, it's going to amplify the presence of the Venus-Saturn opposition in terms of the feeling nature of this energy even further. Okay? So this could, like, because of the extremeness here, like, not only do we have Venus and Saturn in opposition with one another while Venus is in Mercury sign, but then we've also got the moon in the other sign ruled by Mercury. This is all about communication in the mind and the flow of information and stuff with Venus there and Saturn. This, and again, the 90-degree angle with the moon, like, really, really setting this off. It would not surprise me if this was like people literally getting blocked, cutting somebody off, going no contact, like totally ghosting a person or a situation, or being like ghosted yourself, total avoidance, unwillingness to communicate, to negotiate, to commit, stonewalled, utterly rejected, dispelled, cast out. Any of these things or along these lines could very definitely be manifestations of this specific type of energy in these specific signs. The connection or the information, like, it could be blocked or could be severed somehow, especially when we consider that Mercury is transiting the sign of Scorpio right now and coming into a conjunction with Mars, and Mercury is ruling both the placements of the moon in Gemini and Venus in the sign of Virgo. So there could be some serious cutting ties in the context of relationships. Saturn's also the past and like karmic ties and karmic relationships. Venus also recently conjoined the South Node. So there could be like an end to some like lingering relationships that are just not doing anybody any good anymore that come through in this weekend as well. And if you feel like you need to kind of tie something off or put an end to something, this would be ideal to do that in. The things that are, the ties that are severed in this energy are likely not going to be coming back. It's kind of like a once and for all type of thing with Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces, 12th sign of the zodiac, and Venus also like in the sign of Virgo. This is removing blockages to our ability to give and receive properly. And if that is coming in the form of a karmic relationship that has diminished our self-worth or ability to like truly receive or experience love or abundance or fulfillment somehow, then this may be the time when that like balloon just needs to be let go altogether. Okay, so that could be how this is playing out as well. Do not, and here's just another mental health piece of advice for this weekend. Do not expect people to adequately serve your needs or desires or requests, okay? There is likely to be a pretty profound like lack of satisfaction in the context of like other people being able to adequately get the job done for one reason or another. Again, goes back to what I was saying earlier about maybe just like not setting the bar too high in any regard, especially Friday and especially Saturday of this weekend. This is probably very poor customer service, very poor like food service, anything that you are reliant on, you know, somebody else to do in a satisfactory way. I don't know. I just don't think it's the best best time for that. I have a feeling there's going to be, again, as I said earlier, like a lot of complaints, and specifically a lot of complaints probably about the service of things somehow. Hospitality, as I said, like your server at the restaurant, any type of customer service that needs to be done. You may just want to like avoid that type of thing, put it off till another day, or not go in with the expectation that that person is just going to be on top of their game. Things to do with travel, purchases, schedules, and meetings could also be just underwhelming or result in a lot of complaints or dissatisfaction. And Venus opposite Saturn squared by the moon, it's just not going to be a day also where people have a lot of patience or a lot of compassion or like a lot of tenderness or affection or care or empathy for varying situations. So this more prickly dynamic. Now, despite the what sometimes are generally perceived as negative symptoms of this energy, it doesn't tend to be destructive. It doesn't tend to be dangerous. With Saturn retrograding, this is about dismantling things. It is about dissolving things, breaking things down. It is about completion and the end, kind of cutting things off, as I was mentioning earlier, and it can be one of the generally less favorable Venus transits, but it's probably not going to like altogether cause a whole bunch of damage. There can be some conflict or inner conflict though regarding maybe a sense of duty or discipline on one hand, and the desire to enjoy yourself or to relax or to like relate with others on the other hand. This can kind of be the push and pull that's going on as well. You may feel emotionally cold despite maybe someone's best efforts that they're putting in, and just like questioning like why it's not enough or why you don't feel satisfied, even though like someone is trying to make you happy. If that's the case also, again, like this is a good energy to just not necessarily do anything about it and just try to get to the root of it within yourself and allow it to pass. What you definitely don't want to do in this energy is pretend to have emotions that you don't have out of some type of sense of duty or obligation or to satisfy someone else, okay? It's just not gonna most likely work out. The other person is probably going to sense this, and it is likely to cause even more of a divide than is already existing. So don't take it that way, okay? It could also be duties or responsibilities that are blocking you from your plans or from being able to engage in some type of desired social contact or social commitment or activities. Remember, I was saying like delays, cancellations, like changes to plans and stuff like that. It literally may be something that's just like totally out of control of the other person, out of the control of the other person in this energy, and for some reason like they don't have an ability to contact you or to delay, or I'm even struggling to get these words out. They may be struggling with an ability to contact you or to communicate a message in a way that you receive it and like, makes it okay. I have a feeling that this is like a type of scenario of like having plans with somebody or like having a date or something, and like the other person just doesn't show up, and then the person that is impacted by that is just like, oh my God, I'm just the worst, woe is me, like I'm never going to be able to find someone, or I'm not lovable, I'm unworthy, or something like that, like creating all these negative feelings that we're experiencing within. But then like maybe coming to find out on Monday that that person had something instantly come up and they like legitimately didn't have service or a way of contacting you, or they thought they sent a message and it didn't go through, and like the whole like woe is me type of situation, or self-pity, or like feelings of worthlessness, or just like being alone or whatever that came from that suddenly just like dissolving as we realized that it was a miscommunication, or things being lost in translation, or an inability to like get the message across thoroughly, creating the illusion of separation, the illusion of rejection, because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is a sign that rules illusions, okay? So, and remember, we do have dramatically shifting energy in this same area. Listen, okay? Venus is going to enter Libra come Monday. I'm pretty sure it's on Monday. What's Venus going to do? What do planets do right now, you guys, when they enter the first degree of Libra? They're forming the grand air trine with Uranus and Pluto in Gemini and Aquarius. This is like sudden, unexpected, radical change, powerful transformation, figuring things out, like going from like night to day instantaneously and unexpectedly. This is like something that like kind of changes everything. We're talking about Venus opposite Saturn. That's the blockages to our heart. That's the burdens and the things that are weighing heavy on our heart. That's like the financial pressure. Not only that, on Tuesday the 14th, Pluto will station direct while Venus is an exact trine to Pluto. Again, a lot of like toxic, lingering, karmic ties that have been functioning as blockages to our ability to receive authentic love and companionship, or again, like have a more positive relationship to the energy associated with financial flow. A lot of this could just for some reason be spontaneously transformed or shifted or alleviated, or we could be thinking about it totally different, or there could be like literally like unexpected meetings or people that come into our lives. So we're going in a radically different direction, okay, after we get through whatever this is Friday and Saturday. So again, and it's being aspected by Jupiter. There is no bigger energetic indication that like seek knowledge, seek wisdom, value, growth, gifts, blessings, abundance, expansion, faith, trust, hope, belief. It is all directly being facilitated by our ability to like take things apart, understand them on the more baseline level, and remove the blockages to that heart space, feminine energy that may have been, I don't know, just like causing us to get caught up in these illusions of separation that could be very prominent on Friday and Saturday. Okay, so we don't need to pretend in this energy. We can just let it pass. You may feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders and you never get to have fun, or, you know, there could be some things that are like really raining on your parade or interfering with your ability to see your value or your worth, or the value or worth in something properly this weekend, but doing nothing about it, you know, just kind of getting through it with the best attitude that you can is actually probably the best choice and the best way to handle it. Because you know what? An energy like this, and with that Saturn presence, even if you do try to like change your schedule or neglect your duty or your obligation or like your work or whatever it is that's interfering with, you know, the true state of your heart, even if you do like take action to like remove that impediment to your ability to do what you want, you're probably going to find that something prevents you from like truly being able to actually enjoy whatever it is that you're engaging in anyways, because Saturn. So again, like doing nothing. If you do try to move mountains to allow yourself to go enjoy the thing, you're probably not going to end up thoroughly enjoying it anyways, and probably feel like you should have just done whatever it was that you needed to do. So there's that. Now, as I've already addressed, loneliness, self-pity, yes, we know this, financial burdens, financial pressure, that could be a part of this. Also, you may find yourself feeling very surrounded. This is another way that it could be, like feeling surrounded by, or like everyone else is doing great and like bright and positive and sunny and happy, and you just like absolutely cannot relate to that. Especially if you have planets between 25 and 30 degrees of mutable signs, Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, and Sagittarius. This is really the epicenter for who's going to be feeling that energy the most. It could really feel like you're in black and white and everybody else is in technicolor. You may really feel like nobody understands you, like nobody can relate. like nobody's validating your feelings, and maybe like you're just on some type of island all by yourself, which is very ironic because we also right now happen to have Jupiter at 24 degrees of the sign of Cancer, and that Sabian symbol is a woman and two men cast away on a small island. And remember, Jupiter is directly involved in this Venus Saturn opposition as well. So again, growth, expansion, truth, wisdom, maybe, in order to get there, we need to sort of be walled off for some reason or another, or we maybe need to isolate, or maybe there could be some value in terms of being shut out for some reason right now, feeling like we're cast out on that island alone. Like, what is to be gained through the recognition of like what is at the root of this experience? And Jupiter, obviously, is a very big energy that can emphasize things as well. So I find it to be quite synchronistic / coincidental / ironic that Jupiter is at that specific symbol when we've got this energy going on that is like a prime indicator for feeling like cast out and alone in the world. Okay, so that could definitely be a vibe, again, especially if you are existing within that specific 25 to 30 degree mutable sign degree range. But remember, Saturn retrograding in Pisces, this is the illusion. This is actually about removing blockages to the heart and our ability to give and receive in a balanced way. That is what all of this is ultimately about. Jupiter in aspect, use the opportunity to learn and grow. There is value to be gained. Examine yourself on Saturday, the kind of energies you are also demonstrating and giving to others. Have you built up any walls out of a fear of rejection or not being perfect? Are you the source of your own isolation on some way, in some way, on some level, for some reason? Or is there a reason why you are retreating or withdrawing or isolating? Is there some benefit in it for you right now? Is there something to be gained by you being on that island? What can you discover about yourself that can better align you with an ability to receive what it is that you really want? Relationships may also maybe force you to come face to face with something or encounter aspects of yourself this weekend that maybe you would prefer to continue to avoid. However, Jupiter in aspect, you guys, I have to keep bringing it up. Jupiter is the truth, and the truth in the trine to Saturn and the sextile to Venus, that's a facilitating energy, okay? The truth is what we need in order to release these blockages and unlock our heart's ability to give and receive more. Maintaining faith is very, very helpful and beneficial this weekend as well. And this is another thing that I've been talking about over the past couple of videos. Maintaining the bigger, broader perspective, our ability to see things from the bird's eye view, from just like the elevated viewpoint. This is also good for our mental health in this energy. The more like fragmented and condensed and like focused on the narrow image or view of something that we are in this energy, the more it's kind of likely to drive us crazy. So trying to maintain perspective is definitely helpful. Okay, now let's talk about Sunday. We've made it through Saturday. Saturday may be a bit of a little rough one, a little speed bump there, but Sunday, as I have said since the beginning of this video, energy does finally break. It begins to dissipate. You're probably going to experience a greater ease in communicating your feelings in a way that feels heard and validated and understood. There is also a growing sense of hope or faith that is kind of creeping in there on Sunday. You may feel a bit of emotional restoration or some type of like soul revival activating internally. You may find yourself also having maybe some deep or meaningful conversations that feel healing to the soul or that teach you something valuable. as we move through the energy on Sunday. Now, on Sunday, the difference here is this is why the shift starts to happen. This is why the energy breaks. It's because not only does Venus move out of exact opposition to Saturn, which means, they're still in an opposition. So that like Venus Saturn vibe is still present, but it is waning now. This aspect is broken. It is no longer building. All week we were building in and creeping in, and this energy was getting stronger. After Saturday, and with the moon right there as well, this aspect has hit its peak and it's beginning to separate. The frequency is getting weaker. Aside from that, the moon also leaves the sign of Gemini, which is breaking the tension that T-square was representing as well, and enters the sign of Cancer, which, because of the placements of other planets right now, is a much more like emotionally, internally comforting position than what we just had with the mutable moon squaring the opposition, also taking place in mutable signs. As we enter the day on Sunday, the moon in Cancer, which is also the sign of the moon. So this is already a like less emotionally distorted energy. That moon in Cancer is going to come into a trine with Mercury. That promotes our ability to express our feelings and express them in kind of like a deep and pure way, which is obviously a vast improvement from the lunar square that we had going on in the sign of Gemini to Venus in the sign of Gemini opposite Saturn. So communication should definitely be flowing more freely and more like authentically as well in the energy of Sunday. And not only that, that Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer. So the moon entering Cancer is going to mean that the moon is now building into a conjunction with Jupiter, which is also uplifting things, okay, on a more internal level. And I just think, restoring maybe a sense of optimism or hope or faith or feelings of enhanced comfort or security, or like things are going to be okay. And Sunday is a very spiritual day. Prayer, meditation, communing with a higher power, definitely recommended. Will provide comfort, will provide nurturing, will provide security. The power of the Holy Spirit, in whatever form you perceive that to be, is an energetic focal point on Sunday. So I say allow yourself to feel this current flowing through you and within you, and share with others. Communicate with others, share your feelings, and connect with others on deeper levels. There is something like beneficial on very deep levels being indicated on Sunday. Now, Venus and Saturn, as I said, they're still in their opposition. We're not totally out of this energy yet. We will be on Monday, but as of Sunday, we're still not totally out of this energy. But there could be some very deep or profound or powerful revelations that do come through on Sunday. And it is a good day. Moon in Cancer, rest, relaxation, self-care, spending time at home with close friends or with family. The social tension is going to likely be significantly less on Sunday. People will be in probably a better mood and doing a better job of expressing themselves and conveying their feelings. And this then is leading us into setting us up for, preparing us for the changes that are indicated to be coming in next week as Venus leaves Virgo, enters Libra, trines Pluto and Uranus, and Pluto stations direct on Tuesday. So shifting energy next week, interesting days to come. It's going to be an unusual experience pertaining to other people as we enter the energy of next week as well, but not as limiting, not as repressive, much more like energizing and maybe like electrifying or even like exciting. So it'll be interesting to see how things go as we hit the energy of Sunday and start moving through next week. We do currently also have the North Node at 18 degrees of Pisces. That Sabian symbol is In a huge tent, a famous revivalist conducts his meeting with a spectacular performance. We also have the South Node at 18. I don't remember if I said it was 18 Pisces. That's where the North Node is right now. South Node, 18 Virgo. Two girls playing with an Ouija board. So there is this spiritual energy, this spiritual presence, an ability to just feel very moved by or even in communion with some type of higher power, some type of spiritual energy, receiving guidance, feeling divinely inspired. And that also is kind of indicative to me of the presence and the role of the Jupiter energy that we've got going on now and that we're going to continue to have going on over this next couple months. As I've been saying, I do feel like some type of like, I don't know, like collective spiritual revival or just an increase in faith that then kind of like has this positive ripple effect in helping us to establish some things or to build some things or to be in a process of building that is going to lead to some successful or abundant outcomes coming up here over this really the rest of this year and into the beginning of next year. So I do think some type of, I don't know, pending revival is coming, and I find it ironic that at this point in time we would have the North Node at a degree specifically talking about a revivalist conducting a meeting that is like bringing a lot of inspiration. So that could also be a vibe. Again, don't allow yourself to get too caught up in a narrow-minded focus on everything that's wrong this weekend. Make corrections where you can. Extract the wisdom and the lessons from whatever these experiences bring, and don't overly attach to any like negative inclinations or the appearance of things working against you this weekend, because I just don't think it's going to be the lasting truth. And as I've said, things are probably going to shift radically over this next couple of days. So that's what I have to say about the astrology this weekend, you guys. I'm going to get us one more card now. This is a synchronicity card. I'm asking God, Spirit, Universe to please give us a piece of guidance, a piece of advice. What should we keep in mind? What should we tell ourselves? What do we need to know? What information would best suit us in our travels through life this weekend? Oh, we've got 3 cards coming out, you guys, and one of them is the Yes card. So if there's been something that you have been pondering specifically while you've been watching this video or while I was shuffling, this may be an indication that the answer to that is yes. Now, in terms of our messages, we have be yourself and God's the boss. So be yourself. This card says, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, Philippians 2:3. You must remain free from pretension. Do not try to fool anyone, particularly yourself. It is so funny. Like, this card rarely comes out. If you guys watch my channel and you've been watching it over the years, then you will know that this is like not a card that we get all the time. Sometimes there's certain cards that come out all the time. This is not one of them. I've barely read this little quote here, and I find it to be so funny because in my report I was specifically like, what you do not want to do is pretend to have some type of feeling or to be feeling something to like satisfy somebody else or like out of a sense of duty or responsibility or obligation. And this is literally saying the exact same thing. You must remain free from pretension. Do not try to fool anyone, particularly yourself. There's the train again. With true understanding comes humility, and you will do all for the glory of God, and great and wonderful blessings will come to you. So this is a very aligned message if you are needing some guidance this weekend, aside from everything I already said in the video. Now this next one, also God's the boss, who then is that faithful and wise steward, Luke 12:42. We get this one more regularly. You must do your job joyously. And this is also funny to me because I'm like writing the report this morning, doing the report, and I'm like, you know, work interfering with pleasure, like having to do what we don't want to do and not being able to do what we do want to do because of it. And like, this is, but also, if you guys remember, I was like, but it doesn't necessarily make sense to get out of work, because you're probably just going to find that you don't have that much fun doing whatever it is anyways. And like, again, this is being seconded here. You must do your job joyously and faithfully in the knowledge that God is your boss. Like, try to have the best attitude as possible with whatever needs to be done, keeping in mind the bigger picture, bigger perspective. Your subconscious will then respond and promote you and remove obstacles to your success. Have a constructive vision, be faithful to your vision, show respect for authority, and you will be prospered along all lines. So, in my opinion, both of these are like the epitome of gold star advice for an energy blueprint that we've got coming through like this weekend, specifically, of course, Friday and Saturday. But yeah, right on point. So that's the info. If you need something that might help you out. And that's what I have to say today, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the synchronicity cards. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy or benefit from this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. Let me know what's going on with you out there. If you are experiencing life issues or situations that reflect what I'm talking about in these videos, please drop me a comment. Let me know. Tell me about it. That is very valuable information to me. So if you feel like nobody else appreciates you out there this weekend, trust me, I do appreciate you. And so thank you guys in advance for that. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group where I post images of those boards. As I always say, linked in my description box below. If you want to see the whole thing, click that link and I will do my best to have it up there in a timely manner, but I post the pictures of the boards in that group. So that's where you can find it. And come back with me, you guys, on Monday. You're not going to want to miss this one. Again, we've got some majorly shifting vibes coming in, and this week is perhaps going to be a bit like a chaotic breath of fresh air. So lots to talk about, and I'll be back to do just that. You don't want to miss. I'll see you next time, guys. Have a beautiful weekend, and until then, bye.